on creating momentum in the hemp industry. We have people from all over the Front Range here, and we're going to be talking about how do you create momentum that you know that you have the right type of momentum so that business finds you. For those of you that are new to the hemp industry, if you've researched anything about different industries, this is the best industry to be in right now because there's so many wonderful people joining. We talk to people every single day that are investors, all the way down to people that are just getting into the industry that need investors and everybody in between. And what they're saying is this is the year, 2019, going into May, is the best time to be in this industry. We've got quite a few sponsors for the event. People keep giving us free things to give away. That's kind of the culture, and we're thankful for all of them. We'll be talking about them at the end. All right, we have 3 different ideas that we want to talk about today. The first one is the law of momentum, what that looks like. What are some of the principles, industry progression, and when is it time to expand? How do you know that you've gone deep enough in your organization that when you expand, you don't collapse your organization? Some exponential growth principles. All right, the law of momentum is just like any other law. When you talk about the law of gravity, let's say we go over to Africa. I lived in Africa for 7 years, and people over there have never heard of the law of gravity. If you give this to them, obviously because they don't know the law of gravity or inertia or energy or mass and weight and how it drops, you give it to them, it always goes up because they don't know about the law, right? No, it always goes down because the law always works regardless of whether or not you know about the principles. The law of momentum is a law. If you follow this law, it doesn't matter where you live or what you're trying to do, you will always be able to exponentially grow your organization. So, it's a natural law that can be utilized in any industry at any time by anyone in any culture. As you know, if you have a lot of momentum, it means that business flows easily for you. You don't have to try to go out there and fight and try to get people to show up. All right, so how do you create momentum? How does this happen? It doesn't happen by accident. No law happens by accident. So you channel your personal energy toward an outcome, one outcome. Now, if you know anything about hemp, and you know anything about the industry, people are shotgunning it. They're taking a whole bunch of mud and throwing it on the wall to see what sticks. And you say to somebody, so, what are you doing in the hemp industry? And they're like, yes. No, what are you doing? I'm working with genetics, and I'm working with seeds and seedlings, and I think I'm going to eventually have some CBD oil and maybe do this, and I'm going to do marketing. And you hear all the things they're going to do, and in my mind I'm saying you have no idea about the law of momentum. The law of momentum teaches you take one thing and you put all of your thoughts, feelings, words, and actions behind the one thing you're going to do in the industry, and that's how you create momentum. You don't create momentum by being scattered, but by being focused. That's how people accomplish what they need to accomplish. That's called the word alignment. So if you feel scattered today because you're doing 10 different things on a day, and you got 10 different people calling you, or emailing you, and texting you about 10 different ideas, you're scattered, which means you don't have the momentum to where it is, to where you need to go. Okay, so right now we're in the one and only syndrome right now in the hemp organization, in the whole hemp movement. That is that right now today, whatever you're doing in hemp, you're probably the one and only. For instance, the Hemp Business Advisors is the one and only company in all of hemp that has 3 co-founders, 1 male, 2 females, that were all born in 3 different states. That's the only company that was invited to a bank-sanctioned event in which we talked about creating momentum in the cannabis industry at a bank in all of U.S. history until tomorrow. When some other bank invites some other person and some other people co-founded, and then all of a sudden you're not the one and only anymore. So if you right now are the one and only in the industry, it's because the industry just started, because it was legalized, right, with the Farm Bill in 2018. So make sure your one and only stays your one and only no matter what happens. Now, how do you know if you have momentum in the hemp industry? Now, we just had the largest hemp consortium in the U.S. It happened in Denver. There was over 10,000 people that were there. It was slammed. It was an awesome event. We loved every second of it. But if you went down and you met one person, you met this person from China, and then you met this person from Israel, and then you met this person from the other country, Alabama, and then you met this person, and you met people from all different places on the earth, and they all came together. They all came together because they have momentum in the hemp industry. And you ask the people, you talk to one person, you say, so tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're doing. If they have no momentum, they say this, well, I'm trying. Right? I'm trying to figure things out. You go to the next person, they're just like frantic. How are you doing? I'm okay. Did you have too much coffee today? Oh no, we just picked up our business cards like an hour ago. They're still hot. Okay, it was just on the cup. That's the momentum. But how do you know if you have momentum in the industry? How do you know whether or not that's happening for you? Well, you need to understand that there are momentum protocols to follow that are the laws. So the amount of, here's what it looks like. If you have a lot of momentum in the hemp industry, you have a lot of revenue that you didn't have to work very hard to get, or investors are coming to you consistently asking to invest in your product, service, or company. Next, the quality of your partnerships, and we'll talk about this in a couple minutes. Partnerships are what really make or break your organization. If you have the wrong partner or partners in your organization, you have a long road ahead of you. And I remember I was in Boulder with our team. We're having a beer because that's what you do in hemp. You have a beer and you do business over hemp. If you don't enjoy beer, we'll talk afterwards. A different industry is calling you. So we were sitting there, we were having fun, and I kept getting drawn over to these two gentlemen on the side that were not really engaging with anyone else. And I looked over there, I kept being drawn in my attention. I finally stood up and I walked over them and I shook their hands. I said, gentlemen, you look shell-shocked. You don't look like you're having a good time. This is a brewery. You shouldn't be frowning in a brewery. This is the best place to be. And they said, well, we had the wrong partners. I said, what does that mean? And they said, well, we put all of our eggs in one basket. We put all of our money in that basket, and the investors screwed us out of everything. And I've lost my job, and I'm about to lose mine. And I said, now wait a second. I said, did you do your due diligence? And they said, yes. We researched, we were thorough, we got the lawyers involved, we had the contract, and the lawyer said to us after we got screwed, they were so devious at the back end. They found loopholes that even the lawyer has never seen, the decrepitness of how these people were. If you have the wrong partner, there's something called intuition. That's very high and very important in hemp. And you need to make sure that whatever you call that, your subconscious, a still small voice, whatever you want to do, make sure you do that before you get the right partner or the wrong partner. There should be oh my gosh, this is the right person. They got through all my screening. Because if you have the wrong partner, guess what happens? All of your momentum is stolen and taken away. The ease of business growth and the amount of problems solved are effortless. Now, if you say this, man, I've got a problem today, David. This is my problem, this is my problem, this is my problem, and you connect with the other people in the room and they solve your problem, guess what that means? You're in the right place. Now, we have an event coming up next month, at the end of next month. It's on how to network correctly in the hemp industry, because most people have never been trained how to network. That is, that you go to the right hemp events. Because you've been to the wrong hemp events. Everybody has been. You walked in and you're like, whoa, this is not my tribe. And everybody you meet is like, nope, nope, nope. Okay, so how do you know you got momentum? Is when you show up, the problems that you have get solved by the people in the room. That's how you know you have momentum with the right hemp people. That's how it reveals the level of your momentum. Now, this momentum isn't accidental. So every once in a while, you may fall into an industry or into a company in which it just takes off and you don't know why. That's called an accident. But if you understand the protocols of how that happened, guess what it means? You can do this over and over and over. You can repeat the process of momentum if you understand the law and the protocols. Now, you have to ask the question, what are protocols and how do they work? Well, number one, they're unwritten. You're supposed to know the protocols of business in the hemp industry. And everybody expects you to know these if, by the way, you're a business person. And that's the problem right now where we're having, is that the protocols that are unwritten are also unspoken. Nobody's talking about them. But everyone's expecting you to know them. So if you came from another business and you came into the hemp industry, you are bringing your business protocols with you and you don't even know that you have them. Here's a good one. Lead time. Now, in normal business, and we know that hemp is not normal whatsoever, but in a normal business, a normal industry, here's what happens. If somebody gives you a business card, Here's what happens. You have less than 25 hours. You have 24 hours to get back with this person. Because if you don't, they're going to forget your name and how you met and all that stuff. That's what happens. So when you give a business card, then they've got 24 hours. And usually, if it's a good business person, they know something that's called lead time. That lead time is you have less than 24 hours to email, text, or call the person and say, "Hi, it was great to meet you. When can we get together and learn more about each other's businesses?" That is a normal protocol for business, but not in hemp. Because in hemp, you may not hear from the person for 3 months because everybody is inundated. I mean, they're all over the place. So you talk to somebody and say, "Tell me how you're doing." "I ran out of business cards again this month." I've got 50 different text messages that just came in. You know these people. They're everywhere. And when you give them a business card or a flyer and you hand that to them, which we're going to give to you at the end of this meeting, a flyer, what's going to happen is if you're a good business person, you expect to hear back from that business person. But they're a hemp person. They're a hempreneur. And you don't understand, if you're in business, you expect that person to get back with you immediately because that's good business. And it's an expectation that's unwritten and unspoken, but as a business person, I'm expecting you to be competent enough to contact me back. However, that doesn't work in hemp. So guess what we do? For those of you that are hardcore business people that have been called into the hemp industry, you need to have tolerance with where the movement is. The movement is scattered. It's shotgunning it. There's very few professional business people leading professional companies because they just started yesterday. They just got the logo done this morning and they just printed off their business cards on maybe their printer. Remember the old kind you used to fold back then? And that's where the industry is. So for those of you that know this business protocol about lead time, because that's what generates more momentum, is how quick you are, please give other people in the industry the tolerance. Give them a little bit of grace. Give them mercy as they're trying to keep their head above the water. But that is expected. Now, one of the people that I met, his name's Lou. He has numerous meetup groups. One of them is the Colorado Cannabis Entrepreneurs. And Lou is a business person who's in the hemp industry. And what happened was is I found him on Meetup. He's the leader of one of the co-leaders, co-organizers of a Meetup group. And here's what happened is I said, "Can I please call you? I'd like to hear who you are and what you're doing." And he said, "Absolutely." I said, "Great." So I gave him a call, had about a 15-minute, we connected on the phone, and then he said, "David, I want you to be one of our keynote speakers to our Meetup. We usually have 100 plus entrepreneurs to come to our cannabis events." And I said, "Absolutely." So I sent him an email. Now, I sent him an email because he asked me to do that. I'm following protocol, right? And guess what he did? He immediately, within the hour, sent me an email back and said, "David, thank you so much for your email. I received it." And I was like, yes, there's one. There's a person who's a business person in the hemp industry. It was so exciting for me because I said, if there's two, we can get three. So we're building a movement. Now, I didn't start out yet. I have to share with you a little bit about my own story. I did not start out with hemp. I started out as an extremely conservative, raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I was born in Dallas, Texas. So I had all these crazy ideas called biased and prejudiced, right? And that happened all the way up until about 2 years ago. And I was sitting across from a gentleman. We were having a beer in Fort Collins at a brewery. And as we're talking there, he said to me, "David, I just got a job in a hemp company." And I said, "What's hemp?" He said, "Well, it's from the cannabis plant." And I said, "What's cannabis?" Because I don't know anything about it. It was not my industry. Business has been my industry. So he started talking about what this plant can do for the world. And I remember my emotions becoming connected to what he was talking about. And before I knew it, I got emotional. And I said, I'm supposed to do something with this. I don't know what, but I'm supposed to do something. And I got a calling to the hemp plant and the hemp movement without even looking for it. And if you talk to a lot of people, that's what happened to them too. They fell into the organization because it really is an organism that's growing like crazy. So, for next time somebody gives you a business card, please, if you can, do your best to get back with them as soon as you can, and let's try to lift the lid, raise the level of professionalism in the hemp industry with some protocols. Now, protocols are the rules of business. That's what a protocol is. It's a rule that's gained by research, training, and experience. So you go up to somebody and you say, "So, how long have you been in the hemp movement?" And they said, "Oh, I started last year. I started 10 months ago." "Okay, what did you do before that?" Well, legally or illegally.
That's what you hear a lot of people say.
So these rules, how do you get these rules? Well, you research them. How many people in hemp right now can take the time to research the 500 rules you need to know to be a great business person? Now, nobody's got that kind of time. So if you've been doing business for 10 years and you come into hemp, you know the rules. If you've not been doing business that long, you don't know any of the rules. Next, it's gained by training. That means that other people help you to see, hey, when someone gives you a card, that means that you have less than 24 hours to do this, because that's what great business people do. That's what a great business person does. They respect the person who gave them the card and gets back to them as quickly as possible. So if you take 90 days to get back to somebody, this is a rule that you're breaking, and you're revealing to the movement that you don't know enough about the protocols yet. Because speed equals professionalism in that rule, doesn't it? Very good. The last one is experience. You can't teach somebody about these things until after they typically fail in them. So these protocols are the rules of business that if you don't get these, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be some amazing lawsuits happening. People get sued because they don't follow protocols, and we'll talk about that in the future. So, this is not typically found, protocols are not typically found in the industry yet. It's coming. Give it about 2 years. You will not be able to explain the growth and the level of acumen that's raising in the next 2 years, because all these business people that are being called into the industry are getting in bulk, and it's going to be exciting. All right, so momentum can be changed in an instant, though, too, doesn't it? For instance, let's say you work for somebody else. The last time I worked for somebody else was 1999. That was when I realized that I don't make a very good employee or follower. I make a better leader, and I like to lead myself. I'm happy with how I lead myself. And so what I know is if you are working for someone else and they are a fantastic person and you love working for them and you got a great friendship, and that person passes away or leaves the company and you get a real jerk that comes in and now they're your supervisor, I guarantee you in a second you're going to lose your momentum. And that's when you walk out the door, because you can't stay with anti-momentum. Well, let's talk about that. Without knowing what the hemp industry protocols are, then you will have anti-momentum. It means you will run into the wrong people, you'll have the wrong customers, you know what I'm talking about, right? So let's say, I don't know, you're in a marketing company and you want to market the right companies, and you have somebody call you on the phone that has just an amazing idea. You're awesome, you're like, great. And so you vet them, right? That's what you do on the phone when you vet people. You're trying to find out whether or not this is the perfect person for you. You don't know if they have anti-momentum till you start talking to them. Okay, tell me about your idea. My idea is about creating a small patch for parakeets that have thyroid issues. The CBD patch. Okay, now everybody's laughing because you haven't heard about that patch yet. I just made it up. Okay, but if somebody does that, that's a pretty niche market. I don't know if parakeets have thyroid issues, but I'm pretty sure that's not a big market. I'm pretty sure you're not going to market this globally unless it's an Amazon issue. I don't even know where parakeets are from. I know this. You're probably not going to get any money. Well, where are you going to get your funding from? Oh, my parents just passed away. They gave me $10 million. Ding, 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 ding. Now all of a sudden parakeets are a lot more important to you, aren't they? So what's the anti-momentum? You have to know what the protocols are, or you're going to have anti-momentum. If a person doesn't have any revenue coming in, they don't have any momentum with money. Last year, sitting down across from an extractor. Say to him, tell me about your extraction unit. Oh, I made it up myself. Really? How'd you do that? I got one engineer. I told him what I want to do. I saw a picture. I drew it out. They made it. I said, great. How'd you get the money? Oh, my uncle. Well, what'd your uncle do? Oh, he won the lottery in Louisiana. Okay, so how did that help you? Oh, I called him up. I said, my rich uncle, how are you? He said, I'm fine. He says, yeah, I would like $5 million to invest in hemp. And he said, okay. He gave him $5 million. He made the investor. In the first month, he made $2 million. Net profit. First month. I said to him, can I have your business card? And he says, I don't have one. I said, where'd you put the $2 million? Oh, in my personal bank account. I said, where's your company? I don't have one yet. Do you have an email address? Yes. Yada, 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 extractors@yahoo.com. Anti-momentum. Anti-momentum means what? Nobody can take him seriously, even though you make $2 million in the first month. It's not about making money. It's will he even be here in 12 months from now? And we all know that. If you talk to industry leaders like we have asked them over and over and over, what do you believe is the percentage that a business will be here? If it's currently in the hemp industry right now, what do you believe is the failure rate that's coming? Because we see that coming in momentum. The anti-momentum is coming. So they say, oh no, 50 to 90% of the businesses today in hemp will not be here in 2 years from now. That is the average that people are telling us. And when you walk in and you see what their business is like, then you understand it's not going to be here. So, how do you find that anti-momentum? Well, there's 3 anti-momentum pitfall areas you need to be prepared for when you're in this industry. The first one is this. You need to understand the government and banking in your local and state and federal government. You have to know these. If you don't know what's going on in Colorado, or wherever you're at in the world today, every country and every state and every province and every local government is different. So, here's what USA Today said just this month. The federal government will have no choice but to step in and require CBD makers to submit applications and complete testing. Okay, this is from a gentleman that you can go back and read this article. It's Ken and Jane, and what you're going to find out is this. The people that are at the top in the banking industry, in the regulations industry, is saying if you're selling things today that have not been approved or tested, you may not be here in 24 months. Because the moment that the FDA says everything has to go through us, and they may, we don't know that yet, don't assume, you may lose all of your products. Now right now, they're not going around closing people en masse, they're not doing that. But it's today. Now, on the banking, it's a little bit more challenging. Our personal and corporate bank, we have all of our accounts for our for-profit. Our nonprofit is called the HBA Foundation. We allow companies in the hemp movement who made too much money, they're paying too much taxes. We have a nonprofit that you could donate to get a tax write-off, and then we do hemp-based projects from the nonprofit. Okay, all of our nonprofit accounts, all of our for-profit accounts are in community banks of Colorado. Okay, that bank has treated us very, very well, and I have up until this month, March, up until March, I've been able to say to CBD product companies, if you want a great bank to work with, please come to Community Banks of Colorado. Until last month, because we've been working with a branch manager who's at the cutting edge of what's happening in the marketplace with CBD and hemp. And they've been meeting as branch managers in this whole region. They've been calling each other on a regular basis, saying, what do we do about the problem? Because the federal government hasn't decided what to do yet with the banking. So guess what happened? Community Banks of Colorado decided to make a brand new policy, a brand new anti-momentum rule, that if you would like to start a brand new account, and you have a CBD company that's in this bank, you have to have a minimum balance every day of $50,000. And I said to the branch manager on the phone, you just killed it. You just killed it. Every person I'm meeting, they're not walking around with $50,000 in cash as starting a CBD company. This is hemp. This is different. So I said, I cannot say to our customers, I cannot say publicly, please go to this bank because you guys have just cut your legs off. And that's happening everywhere in the U.S. Now, this is a really sad one. We had some people that we were meeting with, and I said, how are you doing? They looked shell-shocked. And they said, you're not going to believe what just happened to us just last week. And I said, what happened? They said, we got a letter in the mail from our bank where our CBD company is located. We've been using them from the time we started. It's been a long, great relationship. And we had got a letter in the mail that says, dear so-and-so and your company, we have decided to terminate your accounts effectively 2 days from the time you received this letter, which, by the way, it closed then, and they didn't even know it. And they said, we closed it because you're in CBD. This company right here, First National Bank of Omaha, is supposed to be one of the most hemp-friendly banks right now, and closed their account, and they gave no reason whatsoever. They tried to go in and talk to the people. They wouldn't listen to them. They lost everything. So, make sure your anti-momentum, number one, make sure that you know what the government is saying about your specific area of hemp. And number two, make sure you know the branch manager or your bank manager very well, because when everything hits the fan, and it may hit the fan at your bank, wherever you're banking, make sure you're on the correct side of the right bank. Okay, number three, partnerships, employees, and customers.
Okay, everybody's heard the horror stories of having bad customers, right? You know what I'm talking about. Somebody, maybe you sent a free sample to somebody, or somebody bought something, and you have a person that calls up and they're so angry with you. You say, listen, I got your CBD branch, or I took your CBD oil or your tinctures or whatever, and I still am blind. What, hang on, what? That's what you're hearing these stories in the marketplace. You know what I'm talking about. CBD is the next miracle cure drug for every ailment that you possibly have. I've got too many freckles. Put CBD lotion. I'm sure it will take them away. You've heard these wild, bizarre statements. Okay, that is anti-momentum. Then you have all these customers going online. They're saying, hey, I took this company's CBD and it didn't do all the things that it said it could do. Or maybe they made it up in their mind. In fact, we just heard about a bar. And what happened was the person was really just horrible against this company that sent them a bar. Well, the guy was 40 years old and in the bar had pineapple, didn't know if he was allergic to it, ended up in the emergency room because he's holed up like a stuck tick on a dog because he didn't know he was allergic to pineapple and blamed the CBD guy because he had pineapple in the bar. How is he supposed to know that? So if you don't know these kind of things that are coming, it's going to be so much fun to see the anti-momentum coming on social media. It's going to be roaring funny to see all these kind of things coming out. So make sure that you have the correct partnerships, employees, and customers. Make sure you screen them properly. Now, here's a really important one. Are you investor ready? Everybody seems to either have money or want money, and I don't know why they're not talking. I've got a whole list of people that we've met all over the U.S. that have a lot of money that can't seem to find companies that are investor ready. So they say, okay, so let's say money was no object. And you come up to an investor or investment group, a hedge fund, and they said, what do you want to do? Oh, I need $100,000. They immediately know you're way too small for them. See, when you're involved in a hedge fund in which you got $150 million and you come up with $100,000 and that's your vision, guess what they think? You're not legitimate. You're just another scam artist. You need to have different levels of preparation based upon the size of the investor that you have, and that's the amount of momentum that you need. So when the investor comes up and says, oh, can I see your business card? And you have a high quality, look at this business card. It's got, oh, look, both sided. You better have a two-sided business card in this industry. It's way too creative not to. You got a two-sided business card. You can tell the quality of this card, the feel of it, the creativity of it, that this was not just shipped off of a press. Okay, this was something that they took a long time to really think through how they're going to make their card. Your card says everything about the size of the momentum that you have, that you thought through it. Number two, when they ask you for a business plan, you need to give them a 5-page document that proves that you know what you're talking about in your business, that you're not just another pie-in-the-sky person. Because you've heard people in the industry, right? I've got this great idea, and they're all excited about the idea, and you ask them for a business card, they don't have one. Ask them for a business plan, they don't have one. Okay, an investor, any investor in any industry, if they don't ask you for a business plan, you better not take their money. It means that they don't know what they're doing, and you can lose their money, and they can lose a great friend. So, get investor ready. If you would like to know more about how to become more investor ready, we talked about this. We were one of the keynote speakers out of the 169 of us at NOCO Hemp Expo. We talked about attracting hemp investors. You can go on our website. We have notes for you today. You can email us. We'll email you the notes in PDF. You can print them off. And it's how to become investor ready, how to attract the right hemp investors. So if you're getting calls constantly, people wanting to invest in your company, you have the right momentum if that's what you're looking for. So, how's the industry doing? How are we progressing? Well, everybody's excited about something, but do you know what's actually happening in the marketplace? Now, here's a great one. What are you hearing and seeing in 2019? Now, for those of you that don't know, there's going to be so many different types of extraction units coming out. Pieces of equipment that you could never possibly imagine. And this one has been taking 8 years, and it just got launched. It uses the Tesla technology, takes the entire plant, shocks it, turns it into a powder. And when they did that, when they tested the powder, they found brand new cannabinoids that have never been discovered. This is going to happen all the time. In the next 24 months, you're going to see inventions that you're going to shake your head and say, I can't believe somebody came up with that brilliant of an idea. So I'm not talking about a CBD patch for a parakeet with thyroid issues. I'm talking about real things. Okay, this next one is, for those of you that were at NOCO Hemp Expo, Morris Beagle is the one that's leading that. And there was over 500 investors that flew in from all over the world. And the gentleman that was leading the largest investment company in the globe made a public announcement that there will be bringing into the hemp industry over $1 trillion over the next 36 to 48 months. This industry will raise regardless of what you believe about it today. Number 3, social media is your friend. I know. You're saying, oh my gosh, this company closed me down and this one said no. Well, we were having the same exact problems. And here's what you need to understand. Remember that just because there's a major multi-billion-dollar company does not mean that they can just, what they consider, break the law. So we're not out of the curve yet. We're still climbing this legality issue that's taking place. And by the way, most hemp organizations are not legitimate. So therefore, for someone like Facebook to say no to you, it's probably pretty frustrating like it was to us. But here's what happens. When you get frustrated, it proves your level of endurance in the industry, what you do next. For me, if I'm really tired and I didn't eat well and I didn't sleep good last night, and you say, I don't want to meet with you, I'll probably just say, okay, fine, then you're the wrong person. But if I'm really strong, I'm going to say, here are 3 reasons why you should meet with me, and I'll go back and I'll try to encourage you. Well, let's just sit down. Okay, I'll buy the coffee or I'll buy the beer. Let me just get to know you. Let me hear what you're all about. Let me see if I can connect you with the right people. We love meeting with people. Well, we got a Facebook win. Now, we have 3 people on our team. We have Michaela Wilkinson, we have Carrie Cox, and myself. And what this means is all of us have different areas of expertise. And Michaela is the person who has a high level frequency of not giving up when Facebook says no. And that's exactly what happened. And I actually want to show you what happened just a little while ago. This is to Facebook, okay? It says right here, they said no. We were going to actually send this out and say, hey, please come to Creating Momentum in the Hemp Industry. Hey, we're the Hemp Business Advisors. And Facebook said no. And so she obviously, wrote a huge, long retraction letter on Instagram saying Facebook is wrong. These people are mean. No, she didn't. She said, actually, let me try to get back and engage them. And what she said was, we at the HBA do not adhere to or condone any illegal activity. And she sent a paragraph here, and then she sent it back and said, would you please reconsider? And they said no. And so she said, hemp is not illegal in the U.S. Now look, I will change whatever I need to. Facebook, you tell me how to work with you and we'll change. And then something amazing happened. Your ad is now approved. 3rd time's the charm. How much tolerance do you have with Facebook, with Instagram, or any other social media is the amount of momentum that you have. And with Facebook, Michaela said this, I will not stop, I will be kind, I will do whatever you say, but I'm not going to give up until you say yes. That happened, by the way, on April 19th, 2019. How do you know you have momentum? Facebook actually says yes after they said, nope, not going to do it. Nope, not going to do it. Okay, you can do that. Here's momentum. So when somebody says no to you, don't give up if you know it's the right thing to do. Keep sticking at it and don't say no. Say, no, I'm going to get yes. I'm going to get yes, and keep being a person with endurance. Now, what are some expansion indicators? As you know, you meet somebody and you say, hey, how long have you been in the hemp industry? For 3 months. Great. What are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to ship product to China. Okay, why are you going to do that? Oh, no, the Chinese really need CBD. Okay, how many Chinese people do you know? Well, I don't know any of them. I just like rice. You've heard this, right? You have heard some of the craziest statements of why people doing things in hemp, and you cannot make the connection of the reality of where they're at versus the reality that they want to have. If you have momentum, you know exactly where you want to go. You're not winging it at all. So how do you know when it's time to expand? You have gone deep enough that as high as you want to go, it will not collapse your infrastructure. We were just out in Oregon. Our team was flown out by a wonderful gentleman. He's got a great team. While we were there, somebody called him up and said, "Hey, I want to give you $25,000 to invest. I'd like it doubled back because, as you know, right now investors are getting 2 to 5x from their investment in less than 24 months. That's the industry standard. Talk to an investor in other industries; they're looking at 10 to 15 over sometimes 36 months. It's a great time to be alive in hemp." But anyway, while we're there, somebody gave him $25,000. Then another person gave him $50,000. Another person gave him $20,000 in the 6 days that we were there. And then somebody bought him a brand new $70,000 tractor and said, "Here's the keys. We want you to have it." That's called momentum. It's time to expand. He did 10 acres last year, made $80,000 per net profit per acre, and this year he's doing 200. That's when you expand, when you can go deep, when you have the finances. Don't expand if your job descriptions and contracts aren't done yet. Don't expand if your business cards aren't done and your website's not up. If you have not gotten your infrastructure and you expand, you're going to collapse and you could possibly get sued. So, what are the correct questions? Here it is. Number 1, your sales. How many people are currently asking for your product, your service, and where are they located? Let's say you're doing CBD products you have using eBay or you've got your own online store, and you're finding that 80% of your customers are based in Fargo, North Dakota. Guess what you need to do? That's right, you're going to fly there. You're going to fly to Fargo, North Dakota. You're going to tell all of your customers, "I want to meet you in person. I'm bringing product with me, and I'm going to get to know all of you," and you're going to create momentum where they're located. You know what people do? "Hey, I think I want to go to Hawaii. So therefore, I'm going to start marketing to people in Hawaii," and they don't know one Hawaiian. So you need to ask, how many sales do you currently have? What's the revenue and where are those people at? Because that's where you're going to expand to. Don't expand into a new market. Expand to a market that is calling you. Number 2, do you have any contracts with each of your contractors? This is your supply chain, right? So you've got here, let's say you're in CBD products and you need this much CBD oil. Great. Do you have any contracts with the extractor? Because that's typically the last person that you talk to before you get the oil. Now, of course, last year, if I would have said the word contracts, people would have been like, "You mean you put in your eyes?" No, those are contacts. Contracts are something that you have to do. In the next 2 years, you're going to have people that are finally going to say, "We have a contract for you," and you're not going to be able to wing it. People are winging it all the time. Well, it could be between 41 and 92 based upon the humidity or anything else, and it changes based upon what? On the level of THC, all the things that you need to know. You can't do that in the future. It has to be more streamlined. So you can't say to the person, "Well, give me your crop and then I may give you this price or this price or this price." Well, we'll just see when we get there. It's not going to work anymore. So you need to have a contract with people. That's your supply chain. Because then that means you're not worried when you're creating your next batch of something that what the quality is, what the percentages are, and how much you're going to pay. Because otherwise, what if you're charging this, and now all of a sudden, everything doubles. And now you got to charge this, your customers aren't going to keep buying from you. So you need some contracts. Next, this is a very important one. How much of your net profit has been allocated to create your expansion strategy? This is the number one problem with companies today that are between 1 and 4 years old. Guess what they say? "I'm ready to go national." And we're like, "Hey, we're there. We deliver a proposal." Guess what they say? "Oh, we don't have money." Good luck. If you don't have any money to go national, you're not going to go national. You have to get the money. You know how you make the money? You spend the money. Now, everybody else in other businesses and other industries know this. They don't get into an industry and say, "I've got so much momentum, I don't need money." They get in because they have money to get the money. So if you don't have it, let's say you made $100,000 last year, and that was your first year in whatever you're doing in the hemp industry, and you say, "Okay, I got 100,000. Great. What was your net profit?" 80%. Good job. $80,000 left, right? "Oh, no, I spent it all." Okay, where did you spend it? "Oh, no, in new product development." In new labeling. "I put $5,000 in a social media strategy." They spent all of the net profit. Now, if you spend all of your net profit and you made $100,000 last year, it means this: you don't want to go national, or you don't even want to go local. You're just doing the local market. Because when you save money, you've allocated it to grow. So how much money, if you made $1 million last year, how much of that money did you put aside so that you can go and grow your network. So, these 3 questions are based upon 3 things. Your sales is based upon the law of supply and demand. Many of you know the acreage that currently is being grown in Africa, and the contracts have already been signed, and the amount of CBD oil that's coming on this side. You already know this. You already know that the supply and the demand right now is, what do we have with demand? This high. What do we have with supply? This much. Why? Just go ask people that are buying biomass. And you can research how I just used it incorrectly if you want to. So, in the industry, biomass is what? It's on the other side of the extraction, right? That's not usually the way it's supposed to be used. But what's happening? They can't find any. I remember somebody said to me the other day, I need 2 million pounds of biomass. I'm like, there's not enough in the whole U.S. for that. You're not going to find that. Oh, well, I found 5,000 pounds here and 5,000 pounds there. Okay, so the law of supply and demand says this: as long as the demand is higher than the supply, you can charge, $200 for a bottle of 2,500 milligrams of CBD oil. But what happens when it goes like this? What happens when you have so much supply and the demand is not there? What does that mean? It means you cannot keep the prices that you currently have. So we've met, thankfully, at NoCo Hemp Expo, we met person after person, and when we saw their products, we said, oh, look at this product. They weren't saying for this bar, this is $90 anymore. Okay, they brought their prices down. So that's really good, because that's almost what the level was. You're like, nobody's going to pay that, but people were buying that. You know why? They needed it. They needed it, and nobody else had it. So now the price is going down because the demand is going high. For instance, 2 years ago, in the entire U.S., there was less than 25,000 acres that were grown in the entire U.S. as a country. Okay, $60 million was imported from overseas or from up north. Guess what's happening this year in 2019? Colorado has more growing in it as the second state that's growing more hemp than the whole U.S. did 2 years ago. The supply is going to skyrocket, but that also means the demand is going to skyrocket too. Because why is everybody growing it? Because they know the demand is coming. Because it was made legal in the Farm Bill, it means that a whole bunch of people. My parents are on CBD. I would have rolled over in my grave 2 years ago had I believed that. Okay, number 2, liability protection. This is your supply chain. When you have people that you are paying on a regular basis and all of a sudden your supply chain dries up, you are legally responsible to pay them. And if you don't have that supply chain completely done, guess what's going to happen? You are liable to pay your staff. And number 3, savings is just good business. It's just business competency. When somebody says they made $100,000 and they spend it all, it means that they're pouring it all back in the company. Now remember that you're supposed to do that for the first, how many? 3 to 5 years before you have enough net profit. The problem is everybody just started. So they're not going to have 3 to 5 years. You may meet somebody. I mean, we meet probably one person out of 100 that's older than 4 years old, right? And you walk up to them and they say, hey, how are you doing? And you say, how old are you in the industry? And they say, our company's 4 years old. They're a grandfather in the industry. You are ancient because everybody else is, hi, how long have you been in the industry? I started yesterday. I just got my, that's what it is. So you got to be used to that. Okay. This supply chain one is really important. Now, as you know, blockchain technology is coming out. We're talking to different people. This is going to legitimize the entire industry when this is something that people start to do. It's so exciting. It means that blockchain goes from this very seed of the genetics all the way to the oil product that you have in your hand or your bar. And when that happens, guess what everybody's going to say? Oh my gosh, we're more legitimate than anyone else in any other industry. However, how do we get there? We get there by messing up. If you talk to the farmers across the Front Range, ask how many of them actually succeeded last year with their hemp crop. Because we have sat across from person after person that failed. One of the reasons is there was a company that had a major, decided to invest in harvesting hemp. And as you know, you cannot use, well, you can use corn harvesters, but it takes your CBD level down by percentages because it's too harsh on the plant. You got to be very careful how you harvest. Well, this company decided to help create a new harvester, and they did that. And then they went around and they found all of the hemp growers as the farmers, and then guess what happened?
when it was time for harvesting, they had shooken lots of people's hands, because that's what you do. And I tell people, if you can't shake the person's hand, don't sign a contract with them. This is just normal business. It's still working with your great-grandfather, and it still works today. You shake the person's hand, and then you sign the contract. But there were no contracts last year. And guess what happened? The harvesting company oversold and underdelivered. Farmer after farmer after farmer across the Front Range that was doing business with this company went hot and lost their crops because there was no contracts with their supply chain. And therefore, all the money they put into their fields, no insurance would ever pay for that. They lost their field. Okay, well, where do we go from here? What's the next step? What are we going to do next? So here's what it is. Decide what you want to do first. What is the one thing you want to do more than anything else? You need to create momentum and become an excellent specialist in that industry. So we have a couple here that drove up from Boulder. They are specifically focused on raising the level of acumen in marketing. Their marketing materials are going to be seen throughout the globe because that's what they bring to the market. You know what they didn't say this? We are a marketing and goat milking company. No, but that's what people do in hemp. They are this and that. And you say, how did you do that? When you think of craft cheese, why don't you think of Snap-on tools? Because craft cheese is craft cheese. They're focused on dairy. They're not focused on Snap-on tools. So what is the one thing you want to accomplish in the hemp movement that you can become a specialist at? So you have some people that are geneticists, and they're saying, hey man, I want to create the next best strain. And by the way, you have already heard this. People are already hitting 30% CBD with their genetics. Yeah, I know. Let's see it. Let's see it next year. I don't mean to be skeptical, but I've heard it, and we've talked to some geneticists. But yeah, but let's see it next year. Let's see this crop. So if you're going to be a specialist, it means this. You have to spend 5 years, 40 hours a week, in order for you to be a master in that area that you can train people in it. And some of the people, even in this room, are going to become masters of their area. They're going to say, I'm going to focus 5 years on this product, on this service, on this area, and I'm a specialist. However, some people are like us. You don't want to be a specialist. You want to be a generalist. And you want to know everything from the soil all the way to the end user product. And you want to know that entire amount. That means you're a generalist. And if you're a generalist, what's exciting for you is the amount of information you're about to learn out of a fire hose. And I want to show you just in a paragraph what it actually looks like. Because if you don't understand this, then you're going to be behind the curve. So now let's say you want to be holistically involved and learn the entire process beginning with the seeds. That's when you start with your genetics. Which means you would need to understand a little bit about genetics before you can plant your seedlings, right? Which means you're going into farming. Oh, because everybody loves farming that I know. They love farming. And therefore, they're going to purchase or lease property, which means now you're in real estate. That's exactly right. So you can hire an R&D department in order to develop a new product, because you want to be unique, right? So that you grow your crops and purchase the correct equipment, which means now you have equipment you have to make sure is working. So you can harvest the plant, but you better have a location to dry and store it so it doesn't mold. Your crops so that you can transport them, because you need to make sure that you don't do that across state lines right now so you don't get thrown in jail. And you gotta know an extractor in order for them to provide you with the correct CBD oil. But the type of oil is dependent upon your decision to either focus upon isolates or full spectrum, because as you know, those are very different. But the quality of your products are based upon your lab, which means you need to know a little bit about chemistry, which you need to test your soil, water, and plants weekly, especially daily at the very end, so they don't go hot, to ensure the correct levels of percentages are maintained, to send a solution to the manufacturer themselves to create and ship your products to retails and dispensaries so that you can finally get your money. That's what you gotta learn as a generalist. If you do not understand every single component in here, you will not make it in the industry. So, for those of you that are generalists like us, you are learning out of a fire hose, and every day you talk to somebody, you learn something new, because something new has been created all across the world. Now, where do you go from here? Your next hemp event is going to prove to you the amount of momentum that you have in networking. When you walk up to somebody and you say, hi, my name is David, and you start to talk to this person. She says, hi, her name is Dee Dee. How do you know that you've connected with the right person? Answer. Somebody's trained you how to network so that you can find the next customer, the next supplier, the next partner. For instance, our team was flying in Delta because that's one of the places I have momentum. And we're sitting there and we're talking about our hemp organization, and we're talking, and out of the corner of my eye, somebody's working on a PowerPoint presentation, and I keep getting drawn, and I have to look, I have to see what is this guy doing. And he's over there, and I'm seeing it, he is creating a PowerPoint presentation for the cannabis industry. I'm like, oh my gosh, give him a card. And we give him a card. It doesn't matter if the guy contacts us or not. The point is this, I'm networking on a Delta flight. See, when you know how to network, you can't even sit in the wrong seat, and you'll find a person that's connected to the industry. So I want you to come to May the 30th at Odell from 5:30 to 7:30. We're going to be talking about how do you actually go to the correct event, connect with the right people, and learn some networking secrets that are going to work for our industry. This is not normal. You cannot go to a chamber event and find the right people. They're not going to be there. Hemp and chamber are like oil and water until we formulate a hemp chamber ourselves, which we may do. Okay, so the services we provide is actually just the business. If you're asking, David, can you please come and explain genetics to us about seeds? My answer is no. We can outsource that. We do all the business side. So we provide executive coaching to the industry leaders, to business people, to entrepreneurs. We provide business consulting, we motivationally speak, we do fundraising for nonprofits in the hemp space, do some infrastructure, sales training, business plans. If it's anything to do with the business side, to make you legitimate, to go deep so you can go high, you want to get investor ready, that's what we do. So what we do is we've got a sign-up sheet, and we have on there a little place for your name, your email, cell phone, and then we said, yes, just put a check there, we'll meet with you one-on-one. We always give 1 hour free complimentary to anybody in the industry, and we look forward to talking to you about that. Now, here's what we love about the industry. It is so giving. We have numerous people that just decided to do something. In fact, at our last event, we had a company called Gattaca that showed up and listened to the event. And they said, you're having another event? And they said, yes. And they said, you know what, we'll give you some of our product just to give them away. So we're going to thank Gattaca, and for the team that came, thank you for giving these to all of our people. We also want to thank Dee Dee. Now, Dee Dee is from Aller Hemp. And Dee Dee and our team have been working together. She's in our coaching program, and she has had a passion for hemp for a long period of time. And she has actually made something very special over here, and it's with we've got two different kinds. We had first Seed to System donated, and we want to thank Steve for that. And then lastly, Alex with a candy heard that, now look, Seed to System donated, so they wanted to donate too. So we want to thank Alex for donating his product. Alex, thank you for doing that. And then lastly, Carrie and Michaela, thank you very much for ensuring that our team is well ready, well produced. Thank you for all the food, and thank you for all the marketing and everything that you do for the company. Now, I want to share, as we wrap up, this last story. We were in Boulder because we believe Boulder is one of the hot spots of the industry. And we were just driving around, meeting people, talking to people about hemp. And we walked into a place called Evo Hemp. And at Evo Hemp, they were really busy. It was the end of the day. And what I know is when we walked in, and there we met some wonderful people. And we said to them, we're going to be doing an event in Boulder coming up. We gave them a flyer for this event, and we said, we would like for you to be one of the sponsors. And they said, okay. So we shook their hands, and then we started to walk out halfway to the parking lot. All of a sudden, somebody called us back and said, no, come back. So we came back and we stood there, and what they did was they gave us 3 different products to give away on Thursday and today. And they gave me a hat. And what they said is, we believe in what you guys are doing. Here's stuff to give away to people that are driving here. See, the real essence of hemp is the type of feel that's in the movement. See, the real truth is the leaders of the industry are collaborative in nature. They actually work together, not against each other. They believe the best about others and love sharing their products and services with others.
This is Jordan. This is one of the co-founders, and he gave us all the product for our first 2 hemp events. And so Evo Hemp revealed the #1 action, what momentum looks like in the hemp industry, because you give first and you expect later. That's called the law of reciprocity, and that's what we're all about as well. I wanted to thank you for attending. We look forward to seeing you at one of our future events or meeting with you. My name is David Wilkinson. I'm one of the co-founders here at the Hemp Business Advisors. Thank you for coming.